Hi everybody, my name is Sean from Sean Sports Cards and I love sports cards. Today's video is going to be about my 2026 goals, where I want to go, what I want to achieve, where I want to be, and maybe a little bit on how I'm going to get there as well. So hopefully it's interesting enough. Try and keep it short and punchy. I have stolen this idea from a couple of places. I particularly got inspired. I saw the video. I got a link from Jim Sports Cards to a video from an account called Sports Cards UK, which is called "Talking Honestly About My Future in the Hobby." And I'll put the link in the post details so you can go check it out yourself. And I think I really appreciated his honesty, the way that he was talking quite personally about how everything's going. And I also really appreciate this time of the year, the optimism at this time of the year. It's a little bit late now, where it's sort of middle of January now, but I really appreciate it this time of the year. People's optimism about where they want to go, what they want to do. So I wanted to record mine, as much as anything else for posterity, for me to look back, hopefully at the end of the year, and say, okay, what there was where I wanted to go in January. Where am I now? Because these two things are very, very rarely the same, right? So my goals, I'm splitting into two camps. There's the social side of things and there's the card side of things. And I have a bunch of other goals as well, like like most people, I think, reading goals and running goals and TCG goals, but we don't need to do a video on that. I think some goals are probably just good to keep on your notepad, but some goals are good to publicize because that means that other people can hold you accountable for them. They can ask you how you're going, they can keep you aligned. So that's what I thought I would do. So socials and cards. Start with the socials, which is might be more interesting for you. I don't know. It's something a lot of people do now. So I have Instagram, and I'm at 1,108 followers today. Ideally, by the end of the year, I'd like to get to 5,000 followers. I think sort of moving up from that average tier, where I think a lot of people will generate around 1,000 followers just simply by posting regularly about trading card content, at least anyway. I'd like to sort of break beyond that and actually start to generate followers and replies and reactions to the things that I'm posting. And I'd like to get closer to 5,000 to actually be an account that people actively follow rather than follow simply because I'm following you or something similar. On the YouTube side of things, I'm only just restarting. So if you look through my video history, I'm sort of all over the place a little bit. There's trading card content there, recording trading cards that I'm playing, things like that. I've got 22 today, and I think a nice round number would be something like 500. Can I convert some of those people on Instagram to YouTube? The bigger one for me is getting into a rhythm of regularly posting. So I'd like to get to a place where I do a video on average every 2 weeks for the first 3 months and stick to that. I see this advert. I watch a lot of American football. I grew up in the United States. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I see an advert watching NFL that says it's the if you watch American TV, if you've been watching DAZN or anything like that over here in Europe, the average New Year's there's an Apple advert where people are running down the street and they're getting chased by furniture, and I think it's a great advert. It's really good fun. I'm not going to buy an Apple iWatch because of it, but hey, it's great. And it says that the average New Year's resolution is ditched on the second Sunday of the year, second Sunday of the year, second Monday of the year. That might just be marketing garbage, but I think there is something in that, which is the reason why a lot of New Year's resolutions fail is because we do it for other people. They're not coming from ourselves. So like you want to quit smoking or something like that. You're quitting smoking because your boyfriend's hassling you, your girlfriend's hassling you, or your parents are hassling you. You're doing it for them. You're not doing it for yourself. One thing for me, I really want to do is, irrespective of the amount of followers that I get, is to do it for me and to do the videos for me and but to do it regularly. And there's a bit of a, well, I'll talk about this a couple of times, but there's a thing we talk about in trading card games, which is, I'm sure, common knowledge. I'm sure it's common wisdom. We don't only talk about it in trading card games, which is process trumps results. In fact, fantasy football is another one where we talk about that as well, is process trumps results. So it's not about, trying to get to a place where I'm thinking about the success of this, not about 5,000 followers on Instagram or 500 subscribers on YouTube, although that would be nice, but more that the main measure of success here is that I regularly post. So a video on average every 2 weeks. I've got a list of topics that I already know what I want to talk about. I just need to sit down and talk about them for 10 minutes. Why am I doing this is important, okay? Because I think a lot of people talk about they want to hit these things, but they don't actually explain why. Why is this important? And I think a lot of it is because there's a discomfort with the fact that it can come across as selfish or egotistical or things like that. There's a couple of reasons why I want to grow that Instagram following, that YouTube following, start regularly posting. The regularly posting is so that it's sort of like a diary, so that I can go back and watch back, hopefully relatively short videos. I can already feel this one going longer than I had hoped. Um, but part of it is a bit of a diary, which has nothing to do with followers. The follower side is I want to get more eyes on the cards that I want to sell, as well as generate relationships with people online that I can buy from. So my model, and we'll get into this for reasons that I'll get into. My model is about trying to buy raw, grade, and grade into profit. Okay. But for other reasons that I'll get into, card shows are generally out for me. And there's a couple of reasons why that, and I'll do that in a future video, right? So all my business tends to be on the internet. And the more eyes that I can get on the cards that I have to sell, whether it's on Instagram, whether I'm talking about it on YouTube, to get to my eBay or to reach out with a DM, hey, that's a great card, is it for sale? And to source cards that I want to buy, to then grade, to sell, the better that's going to be for me. If I wanted to do a salesy pitch, I'd say also one of the big things that I find is people sell PSA 10. So they get a card raw, they grade it, and then they list it as a PSA 10 and they insist on selling at the comps. And I think you're already ahead at that point. You're already, you are quite a lot of people in those kinds of instances. I understand not wanting to lose value, but I would much rather sell at 10, 15% below comps, 20% below comps, where both sides get a good deal. But you're only going to get that good deal that I want to be able to offer as long as the whole thing stays profitable if people see the card. So I want to create that kind of market. I'm still developing my PSAI and things like that, but that's ultimately where I want to go. And also, I have a perspective on things that I want to share because I have been collecting cards and playing trading card games for 30 plus years. Like I was buying Upper Deck and Hoops basketball cards in the early 1990s, which then transitioned into playing collectible or customizable card games in the mid 1990s. So I feel like I have picked up a few things along the way, even if it wasn't sort of the modern version of hobby collecting, which is that that world of grading, which I didn't know existed, or or eBay or any of these kinds of things. There's still that I've got a lot to learn, but also there's a lot that I feel that I can contribute as well. And ultimately, I just want to be that sort of good person to deal with because I think that I am. I don't want to screw anybody over. I'm not interested in chasing every penny here. I want to get good deals for everybody wherever they're possible, where everybody wins. But you're only going to do that if you get more eyeballs on it. So hopefully through developing Instagram, through developing this YouTube channel and things like that, we can get there. On the card side of things, I have started doing this in the last half of last year, probably more the last quarter of last year, actually. And I want to continue this going, which is I want to get what we call a flywheel going. Okay, so what I want is a regular pattern where I'm effectively dollar cost averaging trading cards because I'm one of those people that came in and came out. So I came back into the hobby, and I think around 2020, obviously with COVID, got bored, started reading articles, things like that. Already knew that I enjoyed trading cards, but started thinking, sports cards, getting into breaks and things like that. And then when the market started to dip, I decided that I was distracted and I was doing other things, and I put my cards in my my sock drawer next to my bed, forgot about them, and then when the market started to heat up again, or probably a little while after the market heated up again, came back to it. Okay, I want to get past that sort of boom and bust kind of cycle. What I want to is effectively like I said, dollar cost average. So get a cycle going where I have a regular in and out of cards to PSA to get graded, cards coming back, cards selling, which fund buying more cards, right? So basically get that pattern. So buy raw, send to PSA, wait. The cards come back from PSA, sell them, use the profits from that to buy more cards, but get that on a regular monthly cycle so that I have this sort of scalable, manageable 8 to 10 cards a month. In fact, I must have put my box away. I have, I think, 6 or 7 cards that I'm sending to PSA this month. I don't, my biggest test is to not overextend, both time and money wise. I want it to be self-funding. Okay. I don't want it to pull from savings. I don't have £300 to drop on a hobby box to chase a hit. Okay. I'll be sticking to probably, raw tending to be between the, once you start factoring PSA prices, probably like between the 20 to 50 range is my bread and butter, and then hopefully selling up from there. So I want it to be self-funding. I don't want it I don't want to have to dip into savings and things like that, but also can't afford to take up too much of my time because I'm a dad. I have a job. I have hobbies. I have a wife. I have all sorts of other things, all right? So I want it to keep it manageable and fun. I want my version of this hobby to fit around family and work and sanity. I want to get to that point where it's 8 to 10 cards a month, probably. So not the low end where you are selling hundreds of cards a month, but it's a lot of work. Not the high end. I tend to get very anxious if I'm selling really expensive cards. So I need to manage that a little bit as well, but probably not the high end because I'm not going to have the time to invest to get to that level. And maybe eventually. All right. But that nice sweet spot of 8 to 10 cards a month, in, out, in, out, in, out. And that flywheel is already starting for me about 3 or 4 months in. And I'm choosing not to overextend. So I've got mapped out for the next couple of months what my submissions to PSA are going to be, rather than cramming 30 cards into a submission in January now and then tapping out for a couple of months, waiting for them to come back to be able to do anything, just sort of averaging out irrespective of what the market is doing. So if I can establish that kind of wheel by the end of the year where the cards are coming back and the sales are going out and the sales are funding future sales that can then send more things to go and get graded, then I'll be in a good place with that. So if I can do all of those things, if I can build that social media following and start to develop relationship with people and be interesting enough, I think is a big challenge for me. Like, am I that interesting? Be interesting enough for people to want to watch and to talk about. So if there's any topics that you want to hear about, by all means, like comment, let me know. And I happily, I do videos for a living. I work in learning and development. That's what I do. Okay. If I can do all of these things and keep it sustainable, I think it'll be a successful year. So yeah, that's where I want to go in 2026. I have sort of my measurables. I know where I want to go. Fingers crossed. Here we go. So from here, it's, I've got a bunch of other videos to talk about. I've got a bunch of other ideas to talk about. I'll aim to do probably a video once a week or so, about 10 minutes on each topic. And then we'll go from there. So we'll see how it goes. But thanks for watching. I'll do the usual YouTube thing because everybody does it. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, tell other people about it. I'm based here in London. Always happy to talk things about whether it's TCGs, learning things about TCGs, learning things about sports cards, learning things about Star Wars cards, all these kinds of things. So I'm over at Instagram on Sean Sports Cards, here on YouTube. Thanks very much for watching, and hopefully see you next week. Hopefully this hasn't been boring enough that you don't come back for the next video. So thanks for watching and see you next week.